my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. The second Sunday after Easter is dependable. Jesus appears to Thomas among the 12, after Thomas missed out the first time, and he's been known as the doubter ever since. Simple story, we know it well, we've heard it so many times, and it's hard to think of what new could be said about it. But what if this year we hear it with refreshed ears? What if we look at it as Thomas coming into the greatest moment of his faith as a result of doubt? Now, Thomas gets singled out in John's Gospel as the doubter, but in actuality, he's not the only one of the 12 who struggled to believe something that Jesus had taught them during their years together. Even in the lesson last week, Peter and John went running to the tomb where Jesus had been after Mary Magdalene shared that she had seen Jesus with her own eyes and that he was no longer in the tomb. But they needed to see it with their own eyes. And when Jesus came to them behind the locked door that night, that Thomas wasn't with them, they believed because they saw him with their own eyes. Because he wasn't there, Thomas only had their words, no evidence. And in our human nature, we struggle with trusting each other sometimes, don't we? Have you ever been told a story that started like this? You have to try, or do, or go to, or read, blank. Fill in the blank. This, blank, changed my life, and it'll change yours too, trust me. In my story, it was the recommendation of a book. And I had no doubt this book had been life-changing for the person who told me about it, but I doubted that I'd ever be able to experience in that same way. Thomas may have been a skeptic, but it didn't mean he didn't want to believe. He just needed proof, a sign. And how many of us know what that's like? I know I do. In my own struggles, when I've cried out, Lord, I need you. Where are you in this? I didn't doubt he was with me, but in my despair and in my grief, I wanted proof to soothe my hurting heart. I think I can identify with Thomas so well because I have been Thomas many times in my journey to strengthening my faith. And maybe you have too. As I was writing this sermon, I realized that after all these years of hearing this lesson, I had formed a visual of Thomas and that day when his doubt was revealed. It was Thomas standing arrogant, arms crossed, head shaking side to side, eyes closed, saying, I won't believe. And that was really unfair. I had to acknowledge my own judgmental behavior, which is always a painful thing to do. So today I invite you, along with me, to look at Thomas's doubt in a more understanding way. Imagine a Thomas leaning in, eyes wide with wonder, hands on either side of his face, wanting to believe, but he just can't go there in his mind. Give him grace by remembering that he was in so much pain after watching his friend Jesus die, a very painful, brutal death that he may have been just emotionally spent. And even if he wanted more than anything in the world to believe what the other disciples had said was true, his fear would not allow his heart to have that hope that Jesus was alive once again. I feel grateful for Thomas's honesty. He risked a lot to share his doubt in front of the other 12. Jesus, who could have met Thomas anywhere at any time, came to him when he was with the 12 once again. Jesus helped Thomas move beyond his doubt to faith within their group so they could share in it together. They shared in Jesus' resurrection together. And if we remember in the psalm today, it says, Oh, how good and pleasant it is when we, brethren, live together in unity. Now, can you imagine the conversations after Thomas proclaimed, "My Lord and my God"? Picture for a minute the joy in that locked room. The tears, the hugs, and love between them all. I personally like to think that someone might have asked Thomas, "Hey, where were you last week?" I've wondered that since I was a little kid. And if I get to heaven someday, I'm planning on seeking Thomas out and asking him. But in all seriousness, it didn't matter which disciple believed first or how long they had believed, only that they all believed and they were together. And so it is with us. Even with our doubts and our fears, whether you've been an Episcopalian from birth or you've just come to believe this morning, when we seek him and we share in the Eucharist together, Jesus will move us beyond our doubt to faith. Today, once again, dependably, we are reminded through Thomas to bring our doubts to God, to listen with open ears, to seek out wise counsel, to be willing to love in spite of our fears and our judging natures. In our lives, we have met and we will continue to meet people who doubt what we believe. And our response to them must be this: love. As disciples of Christ, we are commanded to love unconditionally, just as he loves us. And his resurrection is our proof. That's our sign. You remember the story about the book I just talked about a few minutes ago? It was the Book of Common Prayer. I'd never read it. I can tell you it restored my faith, it transformed my life, and I stand before you today as a deacon of St. Paul's. And are you wondering who was the person who recommended it to me? Well, there she sits. Mother Michelle. That's why it's extra special for me that I can be here as your deacon, Mother Michelle, and you all. So when a so-called doubter crosses your path, love them. They need a person to lead them back to Christ. Be that person. Jesus Christ has risen, and he has spoken. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. Thanks be to God.
Hallelujah.